Here's an antique secretary that I picked up for myself, actually. I loved the Burl wood features on the door. As you can see, it was in really rough shape. The finish on the doors was failing, it had crackled. The wood on the top and the sides was honestly pretty unremarkable. You can see the door on the middle was even off. I'm not sure what was on the middle. I think there was some spray over paint. I think this actually belonged to a child because there was like glitter and marker stains, and a lot of the knobs were missing. It had some cool features, like you can see it had some of the locking mechanisms. Really old piece. I'm not really sure what it dated to, but I started by taking off all of the hardware. There was a lot of little pieces that I had to take off. So what I like to do is kind of keep everything together. So for the left side, I took all of those little pieces of hardware on the left side of the left door, and I put them in some press and seal, and then I can kind of keep it all together. So all those little bitty screws, I don't lose them, and then I can actually put a piece of painter's tape and I label it, so that way I know where it is. So you can use, I use press and seal sometimes. Sometimes I just put it in a Ziploc bag, whatever I have handy. So now I'm going through and I'm giving it a really good deep clean. This is you can tell, like I said, must have been used, I think, by a child because there was a lot of marker and such on it. So I usually clean it with TSP, get a really good deep clean on it before I can go in and start sanding. You can see on the top there how damaged it is. So a lot of paint, just a lot of problems with it. You can see how dirty it was too. So now I'm just going to do a nice scuff sand because the wood is unremarkable and in pretty poor shape on the top and on the sides. I decided I'm just going to do a scuff sand and I'm going to paint out the body. As you can see, I had a few areas that had some wood damage, so I have filled it in with a wood filler, and then I will go on to priming. This is Ben Shellac primer that I primed it with, and then I'm going to paint it out with Fusion's mineral paint in the color Midnight Blue. So this paint really paints up very well. You can either spray it or you can hand paint it. As you can see, I just use a paintbrush to cut in some of the corner pieces, and then I use a roller to roll out the rest of it. So I hand painted the whole thing, and it really does self-level very well. It's a really nice paint. Sometimes you do have to thin it out a bit sometimes, or sometimes you can use a mister and you can mist the piece and then you go in and roll it, and it self-levels really well. I wanted to see if I could save the drawers and the doors. So I went ahead and stripped it so that I could see what was underneath that failing finish. And it was pretty gunky, but thankfully, when I was able to scrape it off, there was beautiful wood underneath. And so I was able to just get off all of that crackling finish and was able to reach that beautiful wood. I mean, it was still not in the best of shape, but I decided to just go ahead and keep it, and I oiled it. And so before I did that, though, you see here, I went ahead and put a little bit of gilding around the edges. And then once that was done, then I was able to just simply oil it up. I use Osmo oil. So you just put it on, let it dry a little bit, and then just wipe back any excess that you have. And it just really brings the wood back to life. So you can see the difference of where I've oiled. You can see the unoiled areas and the oiled areas. It just really deepens the color, and I just think it's beautiful. And it's a really hard wearing. It's a hard wax oil. So you put it on, and then Like I said, you let it dry a little bit and then you wipe off the excess. And I think I did 2 coats on this, but you can just really see it's hard wearing, and it really just makes that wood. I mean, right there, you can just really see it really brings it to life. Here's a side by side of the before and the after, and it's beautiful. So, all those little intricate hardwares that I took off, I then gave a fresh coat of my favorite Rust-Oleum metallic gold so that it's just nice and fresh and new. And then, as you can see here, I went ahead and decided on the interior to put a nice piece of wallpaper. I thought it was a really good match to the midnight blue, and this is by Rifle Paper Company, and it's a really nice quality. It's the first time I've used their wallpaper. I was really impressed, and so I just kind of had to really work it in because I wanted it to look like one continuous piece. So I had to really work it in the back, and then to come out to the drop down door. And so then on the little doors here, I had to kind of cut some screws down to be able to put new knobs on there. So let's take a look back at where it started. It was definitely in pretty rough shape, failing finish, very rough, lots of problems. And here is the final product. I think it turned out really good. I have all the original hardware, adding that wallpaper just to make a little pop on the inside. This is a piece I actually kept for myself. And so it has just been a great piece, been able to store all of my office things in it, and it has worn really well. I've had it in my home now for almost a year. About a month after all of the paint cured, I did come back on the top and on the sides, and I added a clear wax just to make it a little bit more durable even, and to kind of repel some of the dust and such. So it's held up really well. I've been very impressed with the wallpaper. All the products I used have worn really well, and so I use it regularly, and I'm able to store a lot of my office products there, and it sits in my living room, and I'm able to enjoy it every day. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, and if you like these projects, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.